Hello, everyone. Today I want to talk about another recent release into the Criterion collection. This is actually an upgrade, a blu-ray upgrade from a previous DVD called Onibaba. It's from 1964, directed by the prolific Japanese director Kaneto Shindo. And I'm not sure, I don't normally talk too much about horror films. YouTube is full of horror film, Halloween related videos. And I'm not sure this is really a Halloween film. It does have some terrifying moments, however. And as the title translates, at least as Demon Woman, one might see this as a Halloween type movie, or at least a scary kind of movie. I've only seen two other Shindo films, and one is Kaneto, and that certainly is a ghost story, and that is full of, like Onibaba, based on a Japanese folktale, so set in the distant past. But he also made, the other film I've seen by him is Naked Island, which is a study of a family living in very primitive conditions on an island, and how they might have lived centuries before. It has kind of an anthropological type feel to it. So Onibaba is kind of a mix between Kaneto and Naked Island. We are in the 14th century. This is an era where Japan was divided into two shogunates who were warring with the emperors, warring with each other. In a long drawn-out war. The farmlands were devastated, and how do you survive within this kind of environment? Even though it's set in the 14th century, this could easily be seen as a kind of dystopian story as well. Of, the end of the world, bombs, and few people left without any of the amenities of modern life. How do you survive? It could be seen as a science fiction movie as well. And it has, because of this war, and we're only less than 20 years away from World War II, there are obvious references to World War II. Shindo's disgust with that war and with war in general, in which these male emperors send out the young men who they rule all powerfully over, out to the slaughterhouse. So in Onibaba, we're left with the women left behind. So we have another sort of similarity to World War II, where the young men and the husbands and the sons sent out, conscripted out to war. How do you survive? So we have the mother of the son who has gone off to war, and we have her daughter-in-law, and they live in, and these are two very powerful women. They have adopted. they have to do things you would never think human beings would ever have to do, but they are forced to do these by their impulse to survive, and they're living. Because they can't farm, they're living in this field of sakura grass. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but and they prey on straggling samurai who unfortunately wander off into this grassland. And the film is shot in widescreen black and white, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And this sakura grass, I mean, it is such a hypnotic, they're basically very tall reeds, much taller than human beings, so you get lost in the grass, and they're always swaying in the wind. And Shindo and his cinematographer, Kiyomi Kuroda, who shot almost all his films, they used all kind of different filters day for night. They make this grassland just part of the film. Like I say, it's a hypnotic setting for these two women as they struggle to survive. And the mother-in-law is played by Nobuko Otawa, and Otawa was Shindo's wife in real life and was in almost all her films, and she is an absolutely fearless actress. I mean, in The Naked Island, you can't believe the physical toll that must have been on her to perform as a woman might have in far, far more primitive ways than we live today. And the daughter-in-law is played by Jutsuko Yoshimura, and she was only 19. This is only her third film, and she too is just fantastic in this movie. This is actually a three-character play movie, as the son, who is presumed dead, the son's friend comes back. He lives in a hut too. They live very close by to a canal, marshland, a canal for water. And then the film becomes a film of sexual jealousy. And this friend is played by Ki Sato, I'm not sure, but he's familiar to me because he was in several Masaki Kobayashi movies that I recently saw. So he's in part 2 of The Human Condition. He's excellent, but he inspires sexual desire from the daughter-in-law, but also from the mother-in-law. So she gets jealous once this relationship, clandestine, but she knows what's going on. The daughter-in-law thinks it's clandestine, sneaking off into the night. And it's surprising there's lots of nudity in this film, and topless nudity, but it's done sort of matter-of-factly. And for 1964, I was 15, I guess. They didn't have topless scenes in movies, and it said that it premiered in New York in 1964, but certainly not in a commercial. It must have been shown in a commercial venue. It must have been shown at museums, but this did become in the 1970s. This Onibaba was a staple of the repertory circuit in the U.S. Though I never saw it. When I saw this the other night, it's the first time I ever saw it. Shindo, none of this nudity can be seen as kind of a lewdness or even really erotic. And in the there's two great extras on Onibaba, and one is a very detailed interview with Shindo where he describes the film, and he basically talks about the film as being his view of sexual desire, that this is how people survive because of their sexual urges. But strangely enough, he is one of the three in the commentary. He never really mentions that in the commentary, but he makes a really strong point of that human beings survive because they do survive because of this sexual of sexual desire. And in the commentary, it's Shindo, it's Ki Sato, and it is Yoshimura, who was 19. This is in 2001, so she's almost 60. Shindo is like 90. Unbelievable how articulate, and the memory, just amazing. And Yoshimura said that because it was her third film and she was very young and very energetic, and she had seen the film a few days before they did this commentary in 2001, and she said she was surprised at how many sex scenes there were in the film, and they do show them, although none of them are in the least bit that explicit. But they do express that overwhelming sense of desire. But she does mention another, I thought, very interesting incident, because there is some full nudity in one scene where she is running through the marshland and Sato is following her, and she's totally nude in this. And originally she was wearing some flesh-colored tights, but it was too noticeable. So she volunteered to take them off, but she didn't understand they were shooting this at such. She said the camera was so far away, and I didn't think that you know, it would be seen in such detail. She didn't understand the telephoto lens, and so she was absolutely shocked when she saw the film, and she said, "Well, my career is ruined." And she went to her agent, "We got to get them to take that out out of the movie." But then her girlfriends, she had a couple of friends who went to see the premiere, and they told her later it's a fantastic scene. It's not lewd at all, and it's a beautiful scene. And then Yoshimura was nominated for Best Actress in the Japanese kind of Oscar awards. So. But she still had some resentment in this commentary, and it's really amusing in a way at how women, especially in the 1960s in that era, especially when they're young, she remembered herself being manipulated into it. But both Shindo and Sato say no. You know, we were all part of a team, and you had seen the setup for this was so that they'd be able to run. They had 8 assistant directors on this film. And they had to work like constantly, and so they had to lay boards down so that the actors could actually run through this marshland without falling down into the mud. And she was so impressed by it, their memory was, that she actually volunteered when she heard that the tights that she was wearing weren't working. But she was proud of the film. I mean, she saw the film, and like I say, a few days before the commentary, and she said, "Boy, this is a really timeless film." And I always love these kind of commentaries where they reflect, you know, how the pride that they had, you know, and what they were able to accomplish. And this was quite a shoot. There's another extra where Sato had done home movies of the site, because it was just such a, they built, when they found this field of security grass, they built prefabricated houses, and they all lived there for 3 months, cast, crew, everybody. Shindo was an independent filmmaker. He worked outside. He was a sort of a renegade. He was a member, I believe he was a member of the Communist Party, but he was well respected throughout the industry. And when the distributor, very powerful distributor, said, "What are you going to do? The censors aren't going to pass all this stuff." But Shindo thought it was so important, in depicting the sexual desire and the kind of almost celebration of sexual desire within this awful landscape of war. And the distributor let it pass, and it played. There's also a booklet. This kind of demonstrates the widescreen compositions that Shindo was so great at in this film, and as cinematographer. The 2 women, and in the middle we see the back of Sato's, and also with the grass. I mean, it's just a beautiful film, and I mean, I love black and white, and I love widescreen. And widescreen black and white to me is just the ultimate format for films. And although you don't get a sense of the grass too much from this shot here, you know, by shooting it in widescreen, it really does make it. It really does make it so evocative of a world that's gone totally wrong. And there's also a really good essay on the film, and also a kind of like testament, Shindo's testament, cinematic testament in this short booklet. So, and there's a mask. You know, I didn't talk about the mask. The mask is incredible, and there's a great story about how they found Shindo actually kept this mask, and the mask is it's the revelation of the mask. What's underneath the mask is I guess that's a Halloween type moment. Okay, so that I'll wrap this one up. I highly recommend Onibaba and Kaneto and the Naked Island. thanks a lot, as always, for everybody who managed to listen to me this far. I really do appreciate it. You guys take care.